Hey, what's going on, everybody? Here we are back making another video, and once again we are here in my garage, and we're going to do something a little differently today. Like I said in some of the other previous videos, I did get a new motorcycle in the time that I wasn't making the videos for those couple weeks. So here it is. This is my new bike. This is actually my first street bike. Well, first actual street bike. I had a dual sport, an XR 650, which was a dirt bike, which was street legal. But this is my first actual street bike. So what it is, if you don't know, it's a 2014 FZ-09. I did buy it pre-owned. Had about only 2,500 miles on it, so that was real low mileage for something that's a couple years old now, and it seemed to be in real great condition. So getting into what this video is going to be all about, it's going to be about something that I recently got. I picked it up on Amazon, and it's these Venom track stands that are sitting in front of my bike here. Track stands, spool stands, whatever you want to call them. It's pretty much a way to get the bike without a frame underneath like I have with all my dirt bikes. A way to get the tires up off the ground, to do any maintenance, to lube the chain, take the tires off, anything like that. So what these kind of are, they're kind of a cheap alternative to some of the more name brand stands that you can get. These were $70 I think for the pair, compared to over $100 for some of the more name brand ones just for the rear. I don't know how much I'm going to need both front and rear, but being that they came as a set, it was almost just as expensive to buy just the one from Venom for the rear to get both of them. So I thought, why not? If I'll ever need it, it's going to be a lot money savings just to get both at the same time. So starting off with these, they're pretty simple construction. They're in three separate pieces. You have the leg, which it ships in, and then the other side, and then you have your overall hoop, and it's connected with a through bolt on either side. And then you just have some plastic wheels, 4 wheels on each stand, and then you can get, for the double-sided swing arm bikes, you can get the spool stand, which cups underneath the spool and lifts up the bike. But they also do have the ones for the bikes that don't have a spot for a pre-threaded hole for spools that will just lift underneath the swing arm. So you can really just change out the ends. There's a set screw on here, and you can adjust for whatever width of your bike. I have them already preset to my bike. I did lift the bike up already with these, so you can even them out, get them centered in there for your specific application. For the front ones, very similar design, 3 pieces with the through bolt. This one does have something a little different on the end, being that there is no spool on the front to lift it up. This lifts underneath the fork leg. So you get these 2 rubber feet on either side, and they kind of cup underneath the fork legs. I'll show you a little bit later in the video how they lift the bike up, but it's just a real simple way just to get under the fork leg to get the front wheel up as well. So for overall build quality, I don't really see a need for the more expensive track stands. I mean, yes, they're a little flimsy, like the wheels wiggle a little bit. Over time, these bolts might loosen up, but really, I figured if any of that happens, like if this loosens up over time, I can clean the paint off, give it a little tack weld, and then these will just be as solid as the name brands. When you do get a spool lift for your bike, if your swing arm does have a pre-threaded hole for a spool, you can also buy spools to go along with these online. To me, I just thought they were kind of expensive for what they are. They're just pretty much threaded rods with a smooth area for the spool to rotate on. So rather than buying them, I did do a little DIY on to make a spool. So I'll go over real quick what I did for that. So pretty much on the FZ-09, it uses an M6 size bolt for the threaded hole. So really all I have is a 6mm bolt and then a pairing nut, and as you can see on this bolt there is a bit of a spot there that doesn't have the threads. So what all I really did was put the nut on the bolt, run it all the way to the end, and then essentially you have your spool right there. This is going to thread into the swing arm, and that's what your spool lift is going to lift the bike up by, and it's just going to pivot on that smooth area, so no threads for anything to get chewed up on. So then when you're down here on the bike, you have your threaded hole. There's one on each side. There's one right on there. And then the other one is going to be right on there, evenly spaced on either side. So when you have your piece that you just made, that DIY spool, all you do is put it in the hole and thread it in. And there you have it. I don't really see any need to put a wrench on them to get them any tighter. Hand tight will be just fine. There's enough thread sticking in there to lift the whole bike up. I don't really worry about these being strong enough. I wouldn't really recommend leaving them in place though while you're riding, being that they are just hand tight. But I don't really think you want something like that hanging off your bike. The cool ones that you can buy online, the ones that have graphics and whatnot on them, they seem alright to stay in place all the time, but for these it's really just for when I'm going to be doing the maintenance. So essentially when you have your track stand and your spool installed, it's really time to get the bike lifted up. So anytime you're going to lift the bike, both front and rear, you're always going to want to start in the back. It just gives the bike some stability. So you're going to want to start by getting the bike up off the kickstand, get the weight kind of centered, and then you'll slide your track stand underneath each one of your spools. And then once you're locked in place, you kind of put a little bit of weight on there just to get everything centered up on the bike. And then you just kind of stabilize the bike and push on down. And there you go, that's the back lifted up. We'll move on to the front now. So this is how essentially the front is going to function. As you can see, I have it in position here. You get one leg that goes underneath the fork, the other one sits behind the fork. On my bike it does sit on the bracket that extends out for the caliper, and then it's the same thing on either side. So for this one, you just want to get this as also in position, get a little stabilization on the bike, and then it will pull the bike forward. You're going to just do the same thing, apply a little pressure to the back, and then gently put it into place. And as you can see, both tires totally off the ground, and you have easy access on either side to take out the axle, pull the wheel out, both front and rear. So there you have it, guys. A quick little demonstration of these Venom track stands. For the bike, it's a universal fit on any of your bikes. Like I said, it adjusts for any width depending on your swing arm and forks, and it's a quick and easy way to get the bike up off the ground to do any maintenance. Overall, I would say that I would definitely go with them again. I would definitely recommend them to anybody that is looking for a track stand and isn't worried about the name brand or anything like that. They're plenty sturdy. As you can see, the bike is up off the ground, and I'd have no problem getting on it, sitting on it, messing around with anything on it. With it on these stands. It's totally stable, and I would totally trust my bike up on them. So hopefully this video was helpful to some of you guys. Hopefully it gave you some information on these Venom track stands, let you know that they're just as stable, just as good as any of the name brands, especially if you're not going to be one that's lifting your bike up all the time for any maintenance, going to the track all the time. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button to like that video, leave any questions in the comments below, and of course subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this to come. See you next time.